Scorpio, and welcome to your monthly video horoscope for the month of December. Before we talk about the astrology that's at hand, I'd like to wish you a very happy season and a prosperous new year, regardless of how you celebrate the season. So many different traditions celebrate the season in several different ways, and hey, maybe you don't even celebrate the season at all, but here's wishing you a very happy season and a very prosperous new year. What a powerful month we've got going on, especially for you being the Scorpio in December. Pluto, your ruler, once again squares off with revolutionary, radical Uranus in a very powerful manner. This aspect has been going on off and on since back around 2011. And they're becoming exact once again on the 15th of this month. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And several months later, in March, they will once again become exact before this aspect moves on for quite a long time to come. Before we talk further about the astrology, though, I would also like to mention that if you're not watching these videos for your rising sign, it's a good idea to do so. If you're not sure of what your rising sign is, you can go to my website. There's a link through my astrological services page to a free chart calculator. I've also provided the link below in the description area of this YouTube page so that you can click on that. And if you go there and enter your birth date and your birth time is important if you want to know your rising sign, it'll calculate your chart for you, and you're just looking for the ascendant, and that will let you know what your rising sign is. If you don't know your birth time, please just continue listening to these horoscopes for your sun sign. You'll find accuracy in that, but you'll find a higher level of accuracy if you listen for your rising sign. So when we feel stuck, it can often feel like things are never going to move again. But when the flow opens up, boy, does it really, really open up. And why am I saying that? Because the flow is going to open up for you this month. And it's going to be a very life-changing month for you on many different levels. Ideas you'll likely find are going to be flowing to you a mile a minute. And all that you really need to do is stay receptive and open to the moment in order to make the most out of every single situation that's coming your way. Before we get into talking about the specific aspects that are going on, let's talk about the one aspect that is creating this overall for you. And that is the fact that the sun will be traveling in close proximity to Mercury for the majority of this month. And this will be taking place in your second house. The second house on many levels deals with wealth. It also deals with self-esteem. But when Mercury's there and it's conjuncting the sun, it also deals with ideas. And there's a lot available and on offer to you in regards to this. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. Let's start touching on some of the specific aspects that will be going on. First, let's talk about the 4th. And we're going to kind of group this into several different sections. We're going to talk about the first week first. You've got a harmonious angle on the 4th between Jupiter and Venus. On the same day that you've got a harmonious angle between the Sun and Uranus. Let's talk about those in detail, shall we? Jupiter is transiting the area of your chart that's known as the 10th house. On many levels, that deals with career. It also deals with the things that are most important and sacred to you. On the level of career, as Venus is transiting your second house, a lot becomes possible in terms of making a career shift towards a more powerful time for you in terms of career, and also some resources coming your way in order to make the most out of that situation. Jupiter will be in Magha. Magha relates to confidence and dignity. When it gets a little bit imbalanced, though, it can also have a certain degree of pride connected to it. So there's a need to watch out for that, because Venus will also be in a section of the sky that's called Mula. What you want to guard against is pushing blindly ahead. But hey, you're a Scorpio, so you always tend to do your detective work ahead of time, don't you? So probably less of a need to worry about that for you than there is for some of the other signs. Okay. On the same day, the sun, also in your second house, will be forming a harmonious angle with Uranus. Something has been a bit stuck or delayed in your life, and a large degree of it probably deals with a conflict going on within your heart over a certain situation. Well, an insight comes to you this month that can help to free up that stuck energy. Uranus is in a section of the sky that's called brevity, and on a certain level, there are some changes, some revolutionary things that you've been waiting to set in motion for your life, but you've been kind of in a state of holding pattern, so to speak. And the sun, which will be transiting Sagittarius and Jyeshta, will give you the opportunity to explore some options and opportunities for the future, but also see things from a much higher perspective. And this coincides with Mars shifting signs into Aquarius as it moves into your fourth house, building a level of confidence, because Mars is your co-ruler along with Pluto, and also giving a little bit of to actually creating that change in your life. A couple of days later, on the 6th, you've got Mercury, as it's traveling close to the sun, forming the same angle with Uranus. This becomes really powerful because the area of the sky that the sun and Mercury are in, Jyeshta, is actually ruled by Mercury, as is Revati, which is where Uranus is within the sign of Aries. That's also ruled by Mercury. So this is very powerful energy. It relates to an insight, ideas, seeing things from a clearer perspective. It helps to break you out of that deadlock. You may have to look at things realistically, but again, hey, being a Scorpio, you're pretty good at that. You may have to be honest with yourself and accept a few hard truths in relation to that, but it's nothing that you can't handle. On the 6th, the same day that Mercury trines Uranus, there's also a full moon in the area of your chart that deals with changes, getting the information that you need in order to actually create a big move in your life. This full moon will take place in a section of the sky that's called Mrigashira. So dissecting things, taking them apart, putting them back together again in a different way. Powerful progress is possible in this manner. A couple of days later, you've got the sun's exact conjunction with Mercury, once again in Jyeshta. And this takes place at the same time that Jupiter is practically sitting still in the sky as it begins to shift towards retrograde motion. Planets never really move backwards, just a word about that. It just appears like that from our perspective. And when a planet's shifting from its apparent backwards motion to its apparent forward motion, it's always moving forward, I should stress, then that planet becomes still. And in the case of Jupiter, it becomes very receptive. So you've got the sun conjuncting Mercury, bringing insight on a day that Jupiter is stationing. So that allows you to integrate that more effectively. And then a few days later, on the 14th, the sun, having shifted into a section of the sky called Mula, which is where Venus was when it aspected Jupiter earlier in the month, the sun will also form a harmonious alignment with Jupiter. So when you are pushing blindly ahead, you can't really achieve as much as you can achieve when you are seeing things with awareness. When you combine awareness and a balanced perspective with effort, then you can move mountains. And that's what this begins to set into motion at the same time that a day later, you have Uranus squaring Pluto. I'm going to shift ahead a few days into the future because Venus, several days later, will also square Uranus and conjunct Pluto. So at the time of Uranus and Pluto's exact conjunction on the 15th, Venus is already triggering that. So Venus will become a catalyst. A lot of healing on offer to you, a way to express yourself in a very diplomatic manner in regards to a very delicate situation that you may not have had the opportunity to do so before. It doesn't mean that you have to tamper down that scorpionic need to speak the truth at all costs. By all means, you need to do so. But it means that you're able to do so with a touch, that it actually comes across in a different manner. and creates some motion or a breakthrough where things have been stuck with this Pluto-Uranus square. Where there's been a conflict of heart, that conflict is no longer there. The self-determination begins to take hold. And several months in the future, you're going to find so much moves for you that's centered around this moment in time. You look back on this time and recognize that this was such an exceptionally important moment in your life. This is when you had the big breakthrough and the big shift that finally began to free up that stuck energy. This time, and also a couple of months ago when we had the eclipse in your sign, big points in terms of moving forward. On the 21st, Mars, now in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, forms a harmonious angle with Uranus, which is in Mars's sign, Aries. Got that? These two planets will be exchanging energy in a very powerful manner and forming a harmonious angle with each other at the same time that Uranus sits still. Uranus has been retrograde for the last several months, setting the stage for the progress which you're going to be able to attain for the next several months. Uranus is very radical and revolutionary. It'll overturn those stuck places inside of ourselves. Well, now, as it's beginning to move forward over the course of the next couple of weeks, you're going to find that the external begins to be changed and a lot begins to really happen for you in your life. You'll begin to become more secure in your approach to the things that are important to you, such as your career. You'll find that that confidence also gives you a bit of a boost in the wealth sector of your chart, which is also very helpful. And these are very helpful aspects to setting the tone for your future from this moment onwards. On the 22nd, Capricorn new moon in a section of Capricorn that's called Mula. This gives you the passion, not that you need anymore, because again, I know I'm going to say it again, you're a Scorpio, so you've got that passion that you can put behind the situation. Now, here's the moment you've been waiting for the last couple of years. Freedom from Saturn. Now, Saturn gets such a bad reputation, but Saturn is such a necessary planet because it crystallizes things for us. It makes things happen, but it does so in a very slow manner. Why do we hate it? Because it creates resistance in order to create those changes. But always remember that Saturn is your friend. You're going to find out that it has been your friend. Now it's going to shift into the second house of your chart. It's going to move into Sagittarius on the 23rd. It's going to be there until about June of next year. It'll make another little dip back into your sign when it's retrograde between June and September of next year before it finally moves on for roughly another 28 years, and you won't have to deal with it again until that happens. Relieved? Good, I hope so. But it's going to move into the wealth sector of your chart, the value sector of your chart. So it's going to make you take a look at how your self-esteem could be a little bit better. It's going to bring your focus to finances so that you can hone things a little bit better. In terms of relationships, it's going to make sure that you strike a balance between your needs and the needs of another, and find a state of boundaries that can function in both your benefit and also to the benefit of another. Hey, if you'd like to know a little bit more about how these aspects might affect you personally, I do also offer a vast range of astrological services that are available through my website if you click on the link above. In addition, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page yet, you might consider doing so if you'd like to receive regular updates every time there's a new video that's recorded and posted to this page, which is at least every 2 weeks at this point. I had to cut out the weekly videos for a while. I'm so exceptionally busy these days, which is good and a blessing, but always room for more. But I'm having to take a back seat to the weekly videos for a little while. But still doing full moon, new moon videos, monthly video horoscopes, and you can look for an interview with a fellow Vedic astrologer hopefully within the next couple of weeks. All this available through my YouTube page, and you can receive a notice every time it's updated just by subscribing. That's going to do it for your monthly video horoscope for December, Scorpio. Until next month, wishing you a very happy season, and please do take very good care.